All right. Let me just get the Facebook going and then we can begin. Huh. Weird. Facebook's not seeming to want to work today. That's odd. Well, I guess the show will go on without Facebook. We're live everywhere else. So we have a big story for you guys today. We're going to be looking into the official DNI releases in the last couple of weeks, the Durham Annex and many others. And we'll be going over the documents to show you the proof of intent, and that is in the Durham Annex. But first, we're going to go over the original report, and then the Russian hoax memo, and as well as the Russian hoax memo whistleblower document, and then we'll talk about it and go from there. Um, Also, my car starter conked out yesterday, so I'm unable to make tomorrow's Board of Trustees work session meeting. Apologies in advance to everyone. That being said, let's begin. Robin, any words you want to introduce yourself for a moment for the audience?
I'm Robin Austin of MediaNow.world, and I'm joining Stephen to chat about some interesting things. These are some very interesting developments that really have been developing over several years' time, but
Oh,
new information has come to light.
hold on. Are we live on? I think I see something's going on with the freaking. It says unable to stream live to the custom service according to Zoom. I don't even know if we're live. Hold on, let me check. Shit, that would happen.
Hmm.
Looks like we are live on some of them. Let me make sure we're live on X. But maybe we should restart it. I don't know if we're even on. Oh, we are live on X. Okay, cool. That's good. All right. Well, I think we're gonna. I think we'll just keep going because it's on Telegram and appears to be on Rumble as well as X. So Facebook. Well, you're asked out. It's probably what's causing the issue. So, anyways, we'll just continue. Show must go on. That being said, sorry folks, I just had to make sure that we were actually live streaming on the air because I didn't realize that it did that. All right, anyways, let's
Oh,
begin.
welcome. Should be an interesting show. We've got some new facts that have come to light very recently, and we're going to talk about those.
All right, here we go.
Found this anomaly on Hillary Clinton's emails going through her private server. And when they had done the forensic analysis, they found that
I hear it, but
her emails,
You don't see it?
no.
Let
It
me
says
stop.
Phillips has started screen sharing, but I'm not seeing it.
Okay. Tell me when you can see it.
There it is.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
they had found this anomaly on Hillary Clinton's emails going through her private server. And when they had done the forensic analysis, they found that her emails, every single one except for 4, over 30,000 of them, were going to an address that was not on the distribution list. It was a compartmentalized bit of information that was sending it to an unauthorized source. Do you recall that?
Sir, I don't.
Well, he went on to explain it, and you didn't say anything.
No.
You thanked him, you shook his hand, but the problem was that it was going to an unauthorized source that was a foreign entity unrelated to Russia. And from what you've said here, you did nothing more than nod and shake the man's hand when you didn't seem to be all that concerned about our national integrity of our election when it was involving Hillary Clinton. So the forensic examination was done by the ICIG, and they can document that, but you were given that information and you did nothing with it. And one of the things I found most egregious with Mr. Horowitz's testimony, and by the way, Horowitz got a call 4 times by someone wanting to brief him, leaving messages telling him about this, and he never returned the call. He had 500 pages of bias that he gave us, and then he threw a bone to the Democrats and said, but we can't find bias. And let me tell you, when you have text messages, Mr. Strzok, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases, and we all have them. And you have come in here and said, I had no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying. And he could probably pass a polygraph.
Can't hear you. Unmute, Stephen. Your microphone is muted. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I was a little bit of lag there when I was resharing my screen. Yeah, no, I said next we have the Russia hoax memo, which basically is 11-page outline of what is going on here with this whole situation, and they do a good job of it. So we're going to start at the top. I'm just going to go through and read.
I
Director
got
of National
stuff in my way.
Intelligence.
Can't see it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. Intelligence community suppression of intelligence showing Russian and criminal actors did not impact the 2016 presidential election via cyber attacks on infrastructure. The timeline of events as evidenced by the attached documents is as follows. Key intelligence manipulated and withheld from the American people by the intelligence community before the election, August 31st, 2016. A DHS official tells former DNI James Clapper that there was no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count. An overall risk due to cyber incident, we are working with the CIA on a PDB submission on the threat. The thrust of the analysis is that there is no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count through cyber means. And that's what's highlighted there that they're pointing out, which is also in the original report. September 2nd, 2016. The FBI requests for the whistleblower pre-election assessment on alleged Russian election activity in an upcoming pre-election intelligence community assessment to be softened, given the FBI was uncomfortable implying that there was definitive information that Russia does intend to disrupt our elections. On page 5, under Adversaries with Intent section, we would prefer the first sentence regarding Russia's intent to be softened. The way it currently reads, it would indicate that we have definitive information that Russia does intend to disrupt our elections, and we are uncomfortable making that assessment at this point. We would suggest editing the sentence to read as follows, changes highlighted. We judge Russia to be the only nation state, and then highlight, with the current means and possible motivation, to use cyber attacks to disrupt the 2016 election or deny political legitimacy to U.S. presidential candidates. Now, if you take out the highlighted segment, folks, notice what it would say. We judge Russia to be the only nation state to use cyber attacks to disrupt the 2016 election or deny political legitimacy to U.S. presidential candidates. So you see the difference there that they're talking about why they wanted it modified. Okay, so they're basically saying that they don't have definitive proof that Russia directly affected the vote count. September 9th, 2016. ODNI and PDB officials says that an upcoming PDB should make clear that Russia probably is not trying to influence the election by using cyber means to target election infrastructure. Several intelligence community officials agree. Russia is and here's the reference that they're talking about. Russia probably is not going to be able to influence the election by using cyber means to manipulate computer-enabled election infrastructure. Then it goes on to say Russia is probably using cyber means primarily to influence the election by stealing campaign party data and leaking selected items, and it is also using public propaganda, and that it fits a historical pattern of Russia using less sophisticated propaganda and information operations to influence U.S. elections, but not affecting the direct election infrastructure. The lead author on the PDB agrees. I took the intent of this email to get the basic starting point regarding Russia. We agree. with Russia probably is not, and then in parentheses, and will not, trying to influence the election by using cyber means to manipulate computer-enabled election infrastructure. Okay. September 12th, 2016. The intelligence community publishes an intelligence community assessment on cyber threats to the election. The report finds foreign adversaries do not have and will probably not obtain the capabilities to successfully execute widespread and undetected cyber attacks on election infrastructure. We judge that foreign adversaries do not have and will probably not obtain the capabilities to successfully execute widespread and undetected cyber attacks on the diverse set of information technologies and infrastructures used to support the November 2016 U.S. presidential election. 2 days later, the intelligence community publishes an aforementioned PDB with near identical findings. It finds that foreign adversaries do not have the capability to covertly overturn the vote outcome. October 7th, 2016, ODNI and DHS suppressed the above September intelligence findings in their release that states with confidence the Russian government directed the DNC and DCCC hacks. Their statement omitted the fact that the FBI and NSA had low confidence in attributing the data leaks from these entities to Russia. No, there is still supporting evidence indicating the Russian government directed hacking of the DNC and DCCC. November 6th, 2016. Donald J. Trump defeats Hillary Clinton and wins the 2016 U.S. presidential election. After the election, December 7th, 2016, the intelligence community is working on a new PDB examining the potential impact of cyber attacks on the election results. D&I Clapper's office develops talking points based on the PDB's findings. Foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on the election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome. We have no evidence of cyber manipulation of election infrastructure intended to alter results. And here's this right here. A reference that it's referencing. Below are the revised TPs that the DNI mentioned as the back brief yesterday. What I did was lift key lines from the draft PDB that is attached. We assessed that foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter U.S. presidential election outcome this year. We have no evidence of cyber manipulation of election infrastructure intended to alter results. December 8th, 2016. Intelligence community officials discussed the draft PDB, which finds that Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. The group also decides that the PDB will be published the following day due to high administration interest. Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. And here it is, what they're referencing. High administration interest. This piece is now scheduled to run tomorrow. Therefore, we now ask that coordination responses be sent by 2 p.m. so that the production process for tomorrow can be completed. A few hours later, after initially co-authoring the PDB, the FBI, led by then FBI Director James Comey, inexplicably withdraws from coordinating on the product and notifies their intelligence community officials that the FBI will be drafting a dissent. FBI will be drafting a dissent this afternoon. Please remove our seal and annotations of co-authorship. Later in the afternoon, a senior PDB official kills the PDB and in quotes, based on some new guidance. The post-election PDB, which once again assessed that Russia did not hack the election, was never published. Based on some new guidance, we are going to push back publication of the PDB. It will not run tomorrow and it is not likely to run until next week. December 9th, 2016, the Obama White House gathers top cabinet officials for a National Security Council Principals Committee meeting. James Clapper, John Brennan, Susan Rice, John Kerry, Brian McKeon, Loretta Lynch, Andrew McCabe, Avril Haines are among those in attendance. December 9th, 2016, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Summary of conclusions for PC meeting on a sensitive topic. Susan Rice, Neil Eagleston, James Clapper, Andrew McCabe, Victoria Newland, John Kerry, John Brennan, Adam Sussman, Brian McKeon, Richard Leggett, General Joseph Stunford, Mary McCord, Loretta Lynch, Secretary Jay Johnson, Rob Silvers, Dennis McCow, and so on. After the meeting, in an email titled POTUS Taking on Russian Election Meddling, Director of National Intelligence James Clapper's assistant sends an email to ODNI leaders tasking them with the creation of an assessment per the president's request. ODNI leads the effort, along with CIA, FBI, and NSA and DHS. All pursuant to the POTUS tasking at Monday's meeting on Russian election meddling for a comprehensive assessment, the DNI broached the TPs below with Dennis McDonough and DCIA at the Russia PC this afternoon. The IT is prepared to produce an assessment per the president's request that holds together the information we have on the tools Moscow used in the actions it took to influence the 2016 election. An explanation of why Moscow directed these activities and how Moscow's approach has changed over time going back to 2008 and 2012 as reference points. ODNI will lead the effort with participation from CIA, FBI, and DHS. Goes on to say the goal would be to produce a highly classified version and an unclassified version. The classified version would include comprehensive analysis of Russia's activities, drawing from all available sources, with a target delivery date of 9 January to the president. The unclassified version would follow the classified delivery and to the greatest extent possible would include the same information while still protecting sources and methods. The goal would be to make the unclassified document publicly available. Specifically, the assessment will address the following questions. Assessment will address the following questions. How did Moscow seek to influence the U.S. presidential election in 2016? What tools did they use? Hacking, according to the CIA, FBI, NSA lead. Leaks, CIA, FBI, NSA lead. Cyber activity against the voting system, DHS input. Media spin, trolls, fake news, OSC lead. Domestic Russian intelligence efforts, FBI input. Why did Moscow direct those activities? What have the Russians hoped to accomplish? CIA lead. So basically, they're framing the narrative as if this has happened, and now they're just addressing the why. But you see what's going on here. How has Moscow's approach to our elections changed over time? What kind of activities did they undertake in previous elections? CIA lead. What's our assessment regarding how Moscow will leverage its capabilities in future U.S. elections? NIC lead. That same day, deep state officials and the intelligence community began leaking blatantly false intelligence to the Washington Post, as proved by the unpublished PDB and previous intelligence community products, claiming that Russia used cyber means to influence the outcome of the election. Though Russia has long conducted cyber spying on U.S. agencies, companies, and organizations, this presidential campaign marks the first time Russia has attempted through cyber means to interfere with, if not actively, influence the outcome of an election, the official said. And this is information they leaked to the media, folks. This is classic freaking Mockingbird tactics, you know? You tell a journalist, hey, I got a story for you. I got a real story for you that you want them to freaking push, knowing it's false, but letting them think it is true, so they'll push it and make it into a narrative. It's the perfect misdirect, and the CIA uses these tactics all the fucking time. That's my take on it, but I'm just saying. CIA has concluded in a secret assessment that Russia intervened in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump win the presidency rather than just to undermine the confidence in the U.S. electoral system, according to officials briefed on the matter. I mean, it's a huge, egregious abuse of power, if you ask me. But I mean, I've known this for a minute. December 14th, 2016. Intelligence community officials leaked to the media, this time claiming that intelligence community officials believe with a high level of confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the U.S. election hack. And there's the reference to it. U.S. intelligence officials now believe with a high level of confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin became personally involved in the covert Russian campaign to interfere with the U.S. presidential election, senior U.S. intelligence officials told NBC News. December 16th, 2016. Though President Obama admits there is no evidence of machines tampering with during the election, he says he was concerned that potential hacks could hamper vote counting and affect the actual election process. And this is in quotes. What I was concerned about in particular was making sure that WikiLeaks, the Clinton emails, wasn't compounded by potential hacking and that could hamper vote counting and affect the actual election process itself. And so in early September, when I saw President Putin in China, I felt that the most effective way to ensure that didn't happen was to talk to him directly and tell him to cut it out. President Obama on hacking the vote. Wow.
Reality?
Multiple intelligence community assessments before and after the election consistently showed no credible reporting of Russian intent or capability to do what President Obama alleges. Late December 2016, Due to the ODNI whistleblower questioning his leadership about why an intelligence community assessment was being created that contradicted multiple intelligence community assessments, the whistleblower is immediately removed from emails regarding the drafting of the Obama-ordered intelligence community assessment. The whistleblower is sidelined, despite the fact that they led the ICA on similar topics in September, just months prior. Late December 2016, early January 2017, the National Intelligence Officer for Cyber Pressures, the ODNI whistleblower, to accept a number of findings in the Obama intelligence community assessment, including that the Russian government had a preference for President Trump. As for the 2017 ICA's judgment of a decision, Russian preference for the then candidate Donald Trump, I could not concur in good conscience based on information available and my professional and analytic judgment. ODNI whistleblower. He's disagreeing with the assessment that Russia favored Trump. This is the whistleblower talking there. The ODNI whistleblower will later recall that his superior said, "You need to trust me on this," and reference reporting the ODNI whistleblower was not allowed to see. You're gonna have to trust us on this. We have the evidence, but we have the proof, but you can't see it. You don't have a high enough clearance. Sorry, that wouldn't cut it in a court of law. January 6, 2017. The Obama administration shares the unclassified ICA with the public. It falsely alleges, based in part on further information that had come to light since the election, that Putin directed an effort to help President Trump defeat Hillary Clinton. This further information is later confirmed to be the Steele dossier. The assessment also suppresses intelligence from before and after the election showing Russia lacked intent and capability to hack the 2016 election. Deceives the American public by claiming the intelligence community did not assess the impact of Russian activities. Reality, the intelligence community did in fact assess for impact. The unpublished December PDB stated clearly that Russia did not impact the election through cyber hacks on the election. Assesses Russia was responsible for leaking data from the DNC and DCCC, while failing to mention that the FBI and NSA previously exposed low confidence or expressed low confidence in this attribution. FBI and NSA, however, have low confidence in the attribution of data leaks to Russia. Almost 3 years later, September 18th, 2019, the ODNI whistleblower assists in a FOIA request related to Obama's ICA. Specifically, an ICA official asked the ODNI whistleblower to search for material related to the Steele dossier, as it was a factor in the Obama ICA. This revelation shocks the ODNI whistleblower, who had been told that DNI Clapper viewed the Steele dossier as untrustworthy. Interesting. Shelby believes this should be responded to by the NIC, as the dossier was a factor in the 2017 ICA on the election interference, in which an assessment of the document was added as an annex. The assertion was in contradiction to what the National Intelligence Officer for Cyber Issues had previously implied, and at no time during the prior 3 years had any of the National Intelligence Council staff members suggested to me that the intelligence community viewed the Steele dossier material as credible. ODNI whistleblower recalls learning of the Steele dossier's inclusion in the ICA. So there's that. And then this is the whistleblower thing. But I want to get your thoughts on just that first assessment there. That was just 11 pages of our just basically they broke down the evidence and what they found. And
apparently
the other document, the first one.
Apparently they have an insider that was privy to the information that they were using and saw no evidence that Russia, saw, as a matter of fact, that the whole intelligence community was pretty much agreeing, no, Russia doesn't have that capability and they're not going to develop that capability. So it's a non-threat. And then then his superiors come to him and say, just trust me on this. We have a certain thing that we're doing here that you're not authorized to see what's going on. So just trust me and go along with this. And he's kind of bucking them, but they go ahead and release all these stories that they know are false. That seems to be that's my summation of what you just read.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is. It's oh crap, where did you go? Oh, there we are. Couldn't find the Zoom tab. No, you're absolutely right. It's just I'm not surprised, because I've known how corrupt the FBI and some of these agencies are for a while now. But so it doesn't surprise me in the least. But there's more. There's more. So let's get into the next part.
Yeah, let's unpack this a little.
But wait, there's more. OxyClean gets you extra clean. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Normally
All right.
$7,000.
All right, let's go through the whistleblower document.
Yeah.
You want to read this one for me? I'll zoom it in for you.
Sure. Enclosure 1, background and executive summary of events. 1U, from 2015 to 2020, I served as a Deputy National Intelligence Officer, DNIO, at the National Intelligence Council, NIC. For the first 4 years, I served as DNIO Cyber and IC lead for East Asian cyber issues. A secondary area of my focus is cyber-enabled information operations assigned to me by the first National Intelligence Officer for NIO for cyber. This role was based on my prior experience in the subject and my having blank. I led the production of the Intelligence Community Assessment, ICA, on cyber threats, the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Intelligence Community Assessment 2016 to 37. This ICA was specifically tasked by then Director of National Intelligence, DNI, James Clapper, during a secure video conference call conducted with ENIO Cyber, blank, myself, and others. On the call, the DNI stated, Director of National Intelligence stated that then President of the United States, POTUS Obama, had urgently requested a comprehensive analysis on election security, and the Director of National Intelligence accepted blank proposal to deliver the analysis via the ICA format. I completed and delivered the 2016 ICA prior to the November 2016 polls and was commended for these efforts in my annual performance review by redacted and then Vice Chair VC of the NIC. Attachment 1. After the November 2016 polls, I participated in production of multiple intelligence products, including presidential daily briefings, PDBs, assessing if, how, and why Russia might have interfered in the 2016 election. The outgoing Obama administration then tasked a new ICA on the election, 2017 ICA. For the new 2017 ICA, I was directed by a redacted person to focus on Russian attempts to access U.S. election-related infrastructure. Intelligence community reporting suggested many Russia-attributed IP addresses were making connection attempts that the intelligence community could not explain the purpose of. Later, when presenting redacted with our findings, redacted directed us to abandon any further study of the subject, saying, quote, it's something else. In light of later development in open source reporting, I came to have concerns about this Russia-attributed cyber activity and the abrupt dismissal of the study effort. Number 4. In addition, I noted other nations' efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election, but this critical context was omitted from the 2017 ICA. During conversion of the 2017 ICA to TS-SCI and unclassified versions, key context was not included, and I was pressured to alter my views on the 2017 ICA's key judgments with the expressed intent by a redacted person that my concurrence was sought to enable redacted to sway the views of the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA. Redacted. In 2019, as a member of the NIC's classified election influence email distro, redacted, I received an email related to FOIA request DF 2019-00269 that included commentary from NIC staff suggesting Steele dossier information was a factor in the 2017 ICA. Because this suggested a possibility that NIC staff, including a redacted person, had misled other NIC staff, including myself, for several years, I reached out to NIC leadership, specifically redacted. The then NIC VC redacted response was dismissive, and redacted suggested that it is routine that we get material and don't share it with everyone, and it's not a matter of a particular clearance. See attachment 2. Considering that I was part of the NIC's election influence team, this seemed inexplicable, especially since redacted stated it was not a matter of clearance. Shortly thereafter, I was removed from the email distro without warning or explanation. I then contacted the IC Inspector General, ICIG, with concerns. In parallel, open source information led me to believe that I had knowledge or records of might be relevant to ongoing criminal investigations. Throughout 2020, 2021, and 2022, I urged the ICIG to convey the fact of my concerns and records to appropriate parties, culminating in an ICIG representative verbal statement to me in 2022 that it would be up to me to initiate contact with DOJ in my personal capacity. I then contacted a DOJ representative, but have yet to receive the follow-up engagement that the DOJ representative stated in 2022 would occur. Unclassified recollections of statements made by redacted person. Redacted statements to me in early January 2017 regarding the 2017 ICA were redacted. There is reporting you are not allowed to see. If you saw it, you would agree. My response was that I concurred with varying confidence with most of the 2017 ICA's key judgments, but I would need to review any reporting myself in order to consider it. Redacted. Isn't it possible Putin has something on Trump to blackmail and coerce him? FOUO. After some debate, I declined to alter my own analysis based on this suggestion. To provide context of my response, weeks earlier, Redacted had back briefed several of us on a meeting blank claimed to have just come from with the DNI, following the DNI's return from his first meeting with POTUS-elect Trump, at which the DNI was accompanied by CIA Director John Brennan and FBI Director James Comey. According to Redacted, the DNI had been surprised by DIR Comey's unilateral last-moment inclusion of the Steele dossier in briefing materials, supposedly inserted by DIR Comey as the group rode together in a government vehicle. Redacted had characterized the Steele dossier as being viewed by the DNI, and Redacted as well as non-credible sensationalism, and to my knowledge, the material had never been taken seriously by the intelligence community. I thus asked an unnamed person of the IC now judged Steele dossier allegations, or something like them, to be credible. Blank's response was non-committal and evasive. Blank implied incriminating compartmented reporting might exist, but I suspected Blank was echoing a public narrative that the IC, intelligence community, ostensibly viewed as false, as a way for me to justify logical contortions needed to arrive at the analytic judgment this person desired me to reach. Redacted person, you need to trust me on this. Redacted further reiterated Blank ongoing invocation that I abandon my tradecraft standards. Blank had told me on prior occasions that Blank viewed my analyst culture in tradecraft as a pseudo-religion. Blank did not share and had stated I would need to demonstrate my ability to outgrow it in order for Blank to recommend my promotion to a senior executive service position. I held firm and explained that the religion of analysts, as Blank called it, to which I belonged, meant I could not claim to concur with analysis that I did not believe in. I explained that I would defer to Blank as NIO on the NIO cyber analytic line, but I would not say that I agreed with an analysis that I contested. Blank, now visibly frustrated, stated Blank, I need you to say you agree with these judgments, that DIA will go along with them. Discussion between us ensued on DIA's supposed trust in me and the necessity of proving my corporate IC officer bona fides by doing what it took to bring DIA on board as an additional IC agency signing on to the 2017 ICA. The intelligence community assessment. I declined to do so, citing my adherence to Department of Defense analytic objectivity standards, and remembered aloud to Blank how Blank, they used to give us a little card to wear on our lanyards, reminding us to remain analytically objective. I remember this conversation very clearly, as it was a difficult situation, and I listened and chose my responses with care. I was aware that I was defying the NIO's direction to me to misrepresent my views to DIA based on a conscious decision to adhere to IC standards, tradecraft, and ethics. This statement is made to the best of my recollection.
All right, so let's give your thoughts on that in the context with the previous report we just went over.
Well, it sounds like this is an individual who is working with the intelligence community that is experiencing a lot of pressure from higher ups that say, we have a particular agenda that we're trying to push, and we want you to pretend like it's real, even though you know it's not. And he's saying, I have been an intelligence official that's been carefully trained not to do that, and I'm not going to compromise my professional standards to play a false narrative for an audience that I'm just not going to do that because it's false. I'm not going to just go along with something that I know not to be true. And they're very frustrated because apparently he's someone that has enough of a voice that it would influence others to believe this false narrative.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's another thing. You make a great point. That's why people with big followings have an obligation to be as objective and as possible and try and give people as much information or all the information as possible without trying to skew a narrative or intentionally push a narrative. Because I mean, that's what got us into this freaking mess in the first place. But I strongly believe that as a podcaster, that if you have a following, you have an obligation to tell, to advocate for people getting to the truth and to at least use objectivity and critical thinking and and analyzing things and thinking for yourself, stuff like that.
Right. Well, I mean, everyone has bias, as has been suggested
Obviously.
earlier. So it's important to factor in one's own bias and do your utmost to try to ferret out what are the actual facts, what is bias, what is reality, and where do these things dovetail in a way
Yeah.
that I can not mislead people, not give them misinformation, disinformation, because that's what was being asked of him. We're putting out some disinformation that we want you to authorize and endorse. And the minute that
That's
you
that's what they did.
authorize and endorse what you know to be disinformation, then you are compromising your own integrity. You're
Yes.
lying, and lying makes one weaker. It diminishes your own
It diminishes your
integrity
credibility for one.
and your strength. And ultimately, it does destroy your credibility. And those with a large audience may not realize that they're undermining themselves when they make not credible accusations or claims. But that is ultimately going to show up in their lives. And even if it's not in the social media world, they themselves corrupting their own integrity, that's called selling your soul to the devil if you take it all the way to the conclusion. That's what's going on. If you've decided that it's okay to compromise with the truth and to mislead people because, well, it's better for you or it gives you advantages in your career, well, that they call that selling your soul to the devil.
All right, so let's go over the let me bring up the next thing, which is the actual Durham Annex. Give me 1 second here. Let me bring that up before I screen share. Here we go. Declassified Durham Annex. There it is.
Oh, good.
All right, here we go. Can you see it okay? I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit.
I don't see it at all.
You don't see it at all?
Now
You
I
see
do.
it? All
Yeah,
right.
it's got some stuff in the way, but I see it.
I moved it. All right.
Hasn't vanished yet. There.
Report on matters uh, authorized for public release by Chairman Grassley, May 12th, 2023. Report on matters related to intelligence activities and investigations arising out of the 2016 presidential campaigns. Introduction. This classified appendix forms a part of the report on matters related to intelligence activities and investigations arising out of the 2016 presidential campaigns and provides further information on the matters covered in 3 sections of the report. Section IB C1, investigative for referral of possible Clinton campaign plan. Section IV B1, the threat of foreign election influence by foreign government. 2, and Section IV D1A 2, the page FISA application renewals.
Those are Roman numeral 4.
Yeah, I know. I forget. I couldn't remember. I didn't want to try and say it and get it wrong.
Section
You want to go ahead?
4E1, investigative referral of possible Clinton campaign plan. This section provides further factual background about I, the possible Clinton campaign plan described in the office's report. Two, the office's efforts to verify or refute the information about the plan. And three, the manner in which department officials received and acted on or did not act on the campaign plan information. The office's prosecution decisions related to the plan are described in section 4C2 of the unclassified report. Background: sensitive intelligence. Beginning in or about 2014 and continuing through at least in or about 2016, individuals affiliated with Russian intelligence services hacked and gained unlawful. Then it cuts to John H. Durham, classified by John H. Durham. One, the OSC has carefully coordinated the classification review of the unclassified report of this document with the blank. Based on that coordination and their reviews, the blank concur with the classifications. Access to emails of numerous U.S. public and private entities, including government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and think tanks based in the United States. Among the nonprofit organizations hacked by Russian government actors in 2016 was the Open Society Foundations, formerly known as the Soros Foundation. Redacted from blank through blank, received from a blank source, referred to herein as T1, and shared with the FBI. Intelligence consisting of blank. We identify the information provided by T1 as sensitive intelligence. The sensitive intelligence included 1. Emails, redacted, hacking of US-based communications, redacted, reports analyzing the hacked U.S. materials, and 3. What appear or purport to be original hacked emails of U.S. persons or portions of such emails. 2 of the apparently hacked emails appear to have originated from the Open Society Foundations. The purported author of these emails was Leonard Bernardo, who was the regional director for Eurasia at the Open Society Foundations. In that capacity, Bernardo oversaw efforts relating to Russia and the former Soviet republics, among other countries. Redacted. Beginning in 2016, the FBI received information from T1 relating to the 2016 U.S. presidential election, including reports written by redacted. There's all the footnotes. Do we want to go through them?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, we could, but it would might be get a little dull. I mean, but
Yeah,
we have the links in the
yeah,
description, and
we've got
we'll
the
have them
links.
on
People can
the live
look
audio.
over these footnotes and verify all of this information for themselves.
But yeah, I just want to get through like the first few pages of this because it's got some pretty clear. I mean, it pretty much puts the backbone of everything together. What was going on here.
These reports reference purported communications of Bernardo and others. In particular, in 2016, T1 provided the U.S. government with 2 memoranda that described confidential conversations between then Democratic National Committee Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz and 2 individuals at the Open Society Foundation, referred to in the memoranda as the Soros Foundation, i.e., Bernardo and Jeffrey Goldstein, who, according to public sources, was senior policy advisor for Eurasia at the Open Society Foundations. The January 2016 memorandum, which was in Russian, stated in relevant part, on January 12th of this year, during a confidential discussion with Jeffrey Goldstein, a representative of the Soros Foundation on Eurasia, Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, characterized the situation in her party in light of the growing scandal surrounding Hillary Clinton as follows. Information released to the media in the last few days about FBI investigating possible corruption relating to Department of State under the leadership of Clinton, preferential treatment of donors of the Clinton Foundation caused a significant negative reaction inside the party. At the same time, the leadership of the DP, TN Democratic Party, had known about the information since June of 2015. According to Wasserman Schultz, FBI so far does not have persuasive evidence against Hillary Clinton because of the timely deletion of relevant data from mail servers. Obama has no intention to darken the final part of his presidency and legacy by the scandal surrounding the main contender from the Democratic Party. To solve the problem, the president puts pressure on FBI Director James Comey through Attorney General Lynch, however, so far without concrete results. Comey gravitates toward Republicans and apparently intends to prolong the investigation so that the scandal would keep going until the presidential election to jeopardize the chances of the Democratic Party to win in the presidential race. OSC report of interview of Headquarters Analyst 3 on December 10, 2019. See generally classified opinion document 2. See also Jeff Goldstein, While a Good Man Sits in Prison, Open Society Foundations, May 16, 2010. Jeff Goldstein, The World Bank Risks
Oh,
Dirty
those
Hands
are the
in
footnotes. Yeah.
Pakistan.
Oh, my
Okay.
bad. We'll go past that. Sorry about that.
The March 2016 memorandum, which was in Russian, stated in relevant part, during confidential contacts on March 5th with Leonard Bernardo, sick, Soros Fund Eurasian Regional Director Debbie Wasserman Schultz, chairperson of the National Committee of the Democratic Party, characterized developments in the pre-election campaign of Hillary Clinton in the following way. In relation to the consensus reached among the Democratic Party, DP leadership, regarding the candidacy of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama sanctioned the use of all administrative levers to remove possibly negative effects from the FBI investigation of cases related to the Clinton Foundation and the email correspondence in the State Department. Based upon information from Wasserman Schultz, the FBI does not possess any kind of direct evidence against Clinton because of their timely deletion from the email servers. The political director of the Hillary Clinton staff, Amanda Renteria, regularly receives information from Attorney General Loretta Lynch on the plans and intentions of the FBI. Active work is being done questioning potential witnesses who are mostly computer specialists in the Clinton private circle. They represent the only tools which may be used in this matter. Therefore, this threat is minimal. DNC predicts a certain Clinton victory in the current presidential campaign. The impressive results of Donald Trump are dividing the Republican Party elite, which find itself in a near panic condition. A two-pronged Democratic Party opposition is focused on discrediting Trump through debates and propaganda activities based on his weak points, such as his uncontrollable temperament, questionable instances in business dealings, absence of diplomatic skills, lack of political experience. Among other things, the Clinton staff, with support from special services, is preparing scandalous revelations of business relations between Trump and the Russian mafia. Currently, they are studying his connections with Aras Agalarov, owner of a group of companies, Crocus Group, Timur Sapir, a deceased businessman of Russian heritage, suspected to have had ties to the Italian mafia, Tevfik Arif, owner of Bayrak Group, suspected of being involved in prostitution and human trafficking from the former USSR, and Telman Ismailov, AST Group. With regard to the discussion in the last paragraph of this memorandum of scandalous revelations that the Clinton staff was preparing with support from special services, the words that FBI linguists translated as special services are Russian words that one analyst believed at the time referred to the FBI and the CIA, or more broadly to the intelligence and law enforcement communities. Another analyst, caveating that it was speculation, said that perhaps the phrase special services in this context could refer to Trump dossier author Christopher Steele, who, according to media reports and Steele's own testimony in UK legal proceedings, formerly worked as an intelligence professional for the British government. In addition, the office has determined that at the time of this memorandum, Glenn Simpson's firm, Fusion GPS, was in fact preparing open source opposition research regarding Trump's purported ties to Russian oligarchs. On March 31st, 2016, FBI personnel, including Deputy Director McCabe, Deputy General Counsel Anderson, Assistant Director for the Cyber Division James Traynor, and the Director's Chief of Staff James Rybicki, shared the intelligence information with Associate Deputy Attorney General David Margolis, the highest-ranking career official in the department, and other senior career officials at the department. The FBI briefed Margolis on the specifics of the sensitive intelligence and informed him that the FBI assessed the information to likely not be credible. The FBI's assessment, according to McCabe and later memorialized by Anderson in an August 12, 2016 memorandum discussed below, was based on four factors. First, the reports reflected multiple levels of hearsay. Second, someone involved in the communication or in passing along the communication to someone at a think tank may have engaged in exaggeration. Third, the blank who drafted the
Then we'll do one more page.
may have engaged in editorialization or exaggeration. Fourth, the reports may be unreliable because of translation errors. After that meeting, the FBI sought any additional related information from T1. T1 had no responsive information. At this time, the FBI considered taking a number of covert investigative steps to determine, among other things, whether the Attorney General had in fact communicated with Amanda Renteria, the political director of the Hillary Clinton staff referenced in the memorandum. The FBI ultimately decided not to take these steps. Comey told the OIG that the FBI did not pursue these steps because the information in reports was not credible on its face. In this regard, Tricia Anderson told investigators that the director had said the assertion that the Attorney General was pressuring him in connection with the mid-year exam investigation gave him doubts about the credibility of the two documents. He also understood that Margolis's view was that pursuing such steps would take us to, quote, take us down the path where we're investigating the Attorney General of the United States, end quote, and that Margolis thought that, quote, you ought to have more of a reason to go forward with it than what you have. The FBI received additional information from T1 regarding a possible Clinton campaign plan. After receiving the initial intelligence in 2016, FBI subsequently received additional intelligence from T1. In particular, in late July 2016, received a report that summarized allegedly sent by Leonard Bernardo of the Open Society Foundation. Summarized certain hacked emails by Leonard Bernardo of the Open Society Foundations. Memorandum from Tricia Anderson. Oh, that's
No, yeah, there's the footnotes. We're good on that. But yeah, you guys get it. There's more. There's 29 pages in total of this whole thing. It's all linked in the description. That's freaking pretty damning to think. I mean, that's got ties to Soros and everything.
it's very clear that some very high-level business interests, as exemplified by Soros, and some very high-level government interests were colluding to alter to discredit the 2016 election after the fact, and probably before the fact too, but in this case, after the fact.
And yeah, it's crazy, like all those years, Russia, 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 Russia. Like, oh my God, dude, and you still never hear the end of it. It's still all over social media. Oh my God, it's such a gross, egregious abuse of not only political power, but media power and just abuse of power. I mean, that's borderline sedition, if you ask me.
Well, I'm trying to remember exactly who it was. I believe it was the senior information officer in the Nazi party that said, if you tell a lie often enough and loud enough, you can get people to believe it. Something along those lines. Heinrich Himmler, maybe.
Yeah, I remember the one you're talking about, and it's funny because in this context, we know what was going on, and the media was doing just that.
Yeah.
So so who does that make the Nazis again?
Wait a minute. Wait a
Just
minute.
saying, just
I
saying.
didn't call anybody. Did I? Wait a minute.
Not
Are
you
you
specifically.
inferring something here?
No, 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 not you. I'm saying in general.
Yes.
I'm just making
Well,
a
it
pun.
is a question that actually bears some examination, but I want to stay on social media, so we're not going to examine that.
Sounds good to me. Anyway, I just thought it would be fun little side, a little inside joke.
And for humor purposes only, this is
Yeah,
sardonic. It's a sardonic
comedic
moment.
humor. All right, so yeah, no, there was that, and then there's all sorts of freaking crap going on. We got some other news with the grand jury coming out of Florida that looks like they're going to go after these guys
Oh man.
in regards to this drop or this release of this information. So I mean, it's looking promising. I'm not going to hold my breath just yet because we've been let down before, aka the Epstein files. So,
Amen.
but I do hear that Clinton, that both the Clintons, Hillary and Bill, are both being subpoenaed also in October on that very issue. So maybe we'll get some news out of that. That's another breaking development out of
And
the
by
last
that
24
very
hours that
issue,
I
you're
heard.
talking about the Epstein files, or you're talking about
Oh, both. They're getting,
well,
yeah. They're apparently they're going to be. They're. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I heard a couple of sources say that that's what it looks like is going on. In addition to others getting subpoenaed for the RussiaGate thing.
you heard it here first, folks. Unnamed sources have said that the Clintons may be facing subpoenas.
I just can't remember it. I can't remember the source, but I do recall seeing a video on it or
Right.
about it. So,
But
but we'll have that
stay
in the
tuned.
upcoming report.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any
So
final words?
no, I think, well, yeah, sure. I think that this is a matter of not only personal integrity, but you see, in the United States of America, the government is supposed to be of, by, and for the people. That's us. We're the
Yep.
people. These people that are sitting in front of our computers and creating media because the media won't tell us the truth. So it's important that you who hear this and who are listening and paying attention, first of all, we appreciate you very much. We thank you. But
Yeah, we do.
also, it's important that you realize how important what you're doing is, because it is your power that is being misused and abused every time someone who is empowered through the electoral process in some way, through whether it's by an appointment by an elected official or whether they are an elected official, if they're abusing power, that's our power, yours and mine. And we, the people, are the ones that according to our Constitution, we're empowered to be the government, meaning they're supposed to be doing what we instruct them to do. And if
They
we're
are
not
our
paying
employees.
enough attention and we're not taking a certain degree of responsibility, then they're misusing our power and we're tacitly endorsing the abuses by not confronting him. So that's why we do these podcasts, is because we want to empower you to actually believe and understand that you have power, and to help you to have the tools necessary to go and do your own research, go and find out the truth for yourself, and to spread the truth so that those in power are held accountable, and we can create a world where our government is not oppressive but is responsive to the people.
Here, 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 here. I mean, we have to have accountability, folks. If we don't have that, then we have no trust in our justice system. So, I mean, one way or the other, we have to have accountability. I demand accountability for Fauci, for Bill Gates, and for everybody else that was mentioned in this little presentation we did, or not presentation, but news report, based on what we've seen. Clapper, Comey, all of them. We need accountability, and if the evidence leads to that, then the evidence leads to that, and we should have accountability in our country. And the fact that we've not been able to get it is what's been eroding the public trust in all of our institutions. And if we don't get it, then it's going to be completely destroyed.
And remember, folks, we outnumber those few that are manipulating power by millions to one. So all it takes is enough of us to actually say, hey, wait a minute, I have power. Let's band together and let's exercise our power.
We have to put
Join
pressure
with us.
on those in power to do their jobs, and
That's right.
sometimes that is required when they are not doing their jobs.
So one of the things that you can do is like, share, comment, let people know about what this program is showing you, so that this information gets out to more people. The
Yep.
algorithm goes, oh, look, it's popular. Let's push it out to some more. And that way,
Yeah,
more people can
absolutely.
come to understand these things that aren't normally covered in the mainstream media, because the people that are doing the misdeeds own the mainstream media.
Mockingbird Media. And also, folks, if you stuck around this long, thank you. Appreciate it. Um, my format did not go as planned at all. I had a few hiccups there. So, I mean, obviously, I'm sure people noticed, but I apologize for that. And thank you for sticking around long enough. We appreciate you all. And until next time,
Good night.
good night,
Thank
everyone.